The person you've been obsessing over? The one who makes you anxious, who makes you wait by your phone, who makes you feel both electric and hollow at the same time. You didn't choose them randomly. Your nervous system did. Your 6-year-old self did. The version of you that learned, somewhere between the sandbox and the dinner table, what love was supposed to feel like, that version of you is the one who swiped right. And here's the thing nobody tells you, what feels like a spark is often just recognition. Recognition of something old. Something familiar. Something that, deep down, you're trying to finally fix. You've been here before. Not with this person, but in this feeling. The same knot in your stomach when they take too long to reply. The same mental rehearsal of what you'll say when they pull away. The same desperate need to be chosen, really chosen, by someone who seems just out of reach. You tell yourself this one is different. And maybe they are, on the surface. Different laugh, different city, different job. But the dynamic? The emotional texture of it. The way it makes you feel about yourself? Eerily familiar. Imagine someone, let's call her Layla. Smart, kind, self-aware. She's been in therapy. She's read the books. She knows she has anxious attachment. And yet, without fail, she ends up in the same relationship. The guy who's emotionally unavailable. The one who needs space. The one who makes her work for crumbs. She once told a friend, I keep picking the same man. I just keep finding him in different bodies. That's not bad luck. That's not a coincidence. That's the unconscious mind doing exactly what it was built to do. Because here's the brutal, beautiful truth, you are not chasing love. You are chasing resolution. You are going back, again and again, to the emotional environment you grew up in, not because it felt good, but because it felt known. And the unconscious brain equates familiar with safe, even when familiar means painful. Comment prompt, I want you to stop for a second and think. What does your pattern look like? Who do you keep choosing? Drop it in the comments, not the name, just the dynamic. Emotionally unavailable? Hot and cold? Needs to be rescued? You'll see you're not alone. This isn't about blaming your parents. This isn't about diagnosing your childhood. It's about finally understanding why you are the way you are in love, so you can stop reacting and start choosing. Your brain's job is not to make you happy. Its job is to keep you alive. And part of keeping you alive, especially as a small child, was learning how to read the emotional environment around you and adapt to it. If you grew up in a home where love felt unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes absent, your nervous system didn't just experience that. It learned it. It built a template. A blueprint for what love looks and feels like. And then it filed that blueprint under relationship. This is what psychologists call an internal working model, a concept developed by British psychiatrist John Bowlby. Essentially, your earliest attachment experiences become a kind of internal GPS for relationships. Your brain is constantly pattern matching, looking for emotional environments that match what it already knows how to navigate. So when you meet someone who triggers that familiar anxiety, that push-pull, that uncertainty, your brain doesn't say danger. It says, I know this terrain. And it mistakes that recognition for connection. Here's the part that will stop you cold. Research suggests that within the first few minutes of meeting someone, your brain has already begun cross-referencing that person against your earliest attachment figures. You think you're making a conscious choice. You're mostly running a background program that was written when you were 3 years old. Here's the counterintuitive thing, and this is important, the relationships that feel instantly electric and overwhelming are often the most psychologically familiar ones, not the most compatible ones. The fireworks you're chasing may literally be your nervous system going, oh, I recognize this. I've been here before. Calm, consistent, available love can feel almost boring at first to someone who grew up in emotional unpredictability. That's not a flaw in them. It's a sign of how calibrated your nervous system became to chaos. The most important thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. Theodore Hesburgh, as quoted in developmental psychology literature. There are 3 things you've been told about love your whole life that are keeping you stuck. Let's dismantle them. The lie number 1, when you meet the right person, it just flows. Love shouldn't be hard. The truth, ease in early relationships often comes from emotional familiarity, not genuine compatibility. And some of the most secure, deeply nourishing relationships in the world required work, not drama, but deliberate emotional labor. The absence of chaos is not the absence of love. Sometimes it's just the presence of something healthy, and your nervous system hasn't learned to recognize it yet. The lie number 2, if you love someone enough, they'll change. The truth, you cannot love someone into healing. You can love them while they heal, but only if they're doing the healing. This one's painful because it's wrapped in something beautiful: loyalty, faith, devotion. But what it often really means is, I'll shrink myself, exhaust myself, and lose myself trying to be enough for someone who isn't ready. That's not love. That's a wound wearing a love costume. The lie number 3, the intensity of what you feel is proof of how real it is. The truth, emotional intensity is not the same as emotional depth. Anxiety mimics excitement. Obsession mimics passion. Trauma bonding mimics intimacy. The most bondage you can feel to another human being is not necessarily after your most tender moment together, it's often after your worst fight, your biggest rupture. Because the brain releases stress hormones in conflict and feel-good chemicals in the repair. That cycle can become as chemically compelling as any addiction. We accept the love we think we deserve. Stephen Chbosky, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. The concept you need to understand is attachment theory. And I'm not going to give you the textbook version, I'm going to give you the version that actually changes how you see yourself. In the 1960s and 70s, psychologist Mary Ainsworth built on Bowlby's work and conducted a famous experiment called the strange situation. She observed how young children reacted when a caregiver left the room and then returned. What she found revealed something profound: children don't all attach in the same way. Some children were secure, they were upset when the caregiver left, but easily soothed when they returned. Others were anxious, they clung, they cried, they couldn't settle even after reunion. And others were avoidant, they seemed unbothered, but physiological measures showed their heart rate was through the roof. Those early strategies, the clingy one, the shut-down one, the secure one, don't disappear when you grow up. They show up in every relationship you have as an adult. The anxious child becomes the adult who texts twice before getting a reply and then can't sleep. The avoidant child becomes the adult who genuinely wants connection but goes cold the moment someone gets close. And the two of them find each other, over and over, because their patterns are perfectly designed to trigger one another. I want you to actually pause here. Seriously, pause the video. Think about your last relationship, or your current one. Which pattern do you see in yourself? Anxious, avoidant, or something in between? You don't have to answer out loud. Just sit with it. The reason this matters isn't to label yourself. It's to understand that your behavior in love is not a character flaw. It was a survival strategy. It was smart, once. It kept you emotionally safe in an environment where full vulnerability wasn't safe. The problem is that strategy is now being applied in a completely different context, and it's sabotaging the very thing you want. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. This is the part one want you to screenshot. This is the part you come back to. I call this the WOUND framework, a 5-step process for recognizing when you're reacting from your past instead of choosing from your present. Step 1. Witness the pull. The next time you feel that magnetic, almost irrational draw towards someone, or that familiar anxiety inside a relationship, don't act on it immediately. Just witness it. Say to yourself, this is a strong feeling. It wants my attention. You don't have to fix it or deny it. Just notice it exists before you move. Step 2. Orient to the origin. Ask yourself, where have I felt this before? Not with an X, go further back. Where in childhood did this emotional texture live? Was it the unpredictability of a parent who was sometimes present and sometimes emotionally absent? Was it the feeling of having to perform or achieve to receive affection? You're not blaming anyone. You're mapping the terrain. Step 3. You uncouple the past from the present. This person in front of you is not your mother. Not your father. Not the first person who broke your heart. They might trigger the same feelings, but they are a different human, in a different time. Actively say this to yourself, out loud if you need to: this feeling is old. This person is new. Step 4. Name your actual need. Underneath every anxious text, every emotional shutdown, every desperate need for reassurance, there is a real, legitimate need. Maybe it's I need to feel chosen. Maybe it's I need to feel safe. Maybe it's I need to feel like I matter even when I'm imperfect. Name it precisely. You cannot ask for what you can't name. Step 5. Decide with your whole self. Now, from this more grounded, more conscious place, what do you actually want to do? Not what your wound wants. Not what fear wants. What do you want? This is where choice begins. This is where healing begins. Comment prompt: which of these 5 steps feels hardest for you right now? Comment below. I read every single one. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Carl Rogers, I'm becoming a person. These 3 shifts won't happen overnight. But every time you catch yourself in the old thought and consciously redirect to the new one, you are literally rewiring your neural pathways. This is not metaphor. This is neuroscience. Shift 1. Old thought: I can't help who I'm attracted to. The heart wants what it wants. New thought: attraction is information. It's telling me what's familiar, not necessarily what's right. I can feel the attraction and still choose wisely. Your attraction patterns are not destiny. They're data. And data can be reinterpreted. Shift 2. Old thought: if they really loved me, I wouldn't need to ask for reassurance. They'd just know. New thought: needing reassurance is human. Asking for what I need is not weakness, it's intimacy. A partner who can't handle my needs isn't a better partner. They're just a less honest reflection of what I actually need. The idea that love should be telepathic keeps millions of people silently suffering in relationships they could fix with one honest conversation. Shift 3. Old thought: something must be wrong with me. Everyone else seems to figure love out. Why can't I? New thought: I was handed a map drawn by people who were also lost. I'm not broken. I'm recalibrating. And the fact that I'm asking these questions means I'm already ahead of where I was. Self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is the precondition for any real change. You cannot heal what you're still punishing yourself for having. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Sharon Salzberg, Real Love. Here's what I want you to hold on to when you leave this video. You are not cursed. You are not doomed to repeat the past. You are not too damaged or too anxious or too avoidant to love and be loved well. You are a child who needed something, and you found the most creative, intelligent way to survive in the emotional environment you were given. That child deserves credit, not shame. But that child doesn't need to run your relationships anymore. The work isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming someone free, free to recognize when you're reacting from an old script, free to pause, to name what's actually happening, and to make a choice that belongs to the person you are now and not the person you had to be then. Love doesn't have to feel like a wound you keep reopening. It can feel like a home you actually built. Slowly, consciously, with someone who shows up, not because it's easy, but because you both finally know how to stay. If this video cracks something open for you, I want to know. Drop a comment with the word wound if any part of this describes your pattern. I'll know you watched to the end, and I read every comment. If you're new here and this is the kind of psychology content that makes you feel genuinely understood, subscribe. This channel is exactly that, every other day. Next day we're going into something equally important: why you self-sabotage the good ones, and how to stop. Because the work doesn't end at recognizing you're wound. The real challenge starts the moment a healthy, available person walks in and your nervous system doesn't know what to do with them. We will meet again.